Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Royalty USA. I am James Carter, and I want to start today with a question. Have you ever seen someone completely lose their patience? Not the loud, dramatic kind of anger that makes a scene, but the quiet, cold, determined kind. The kind where a person looks at what is happening around them, draws a line in the ground, and says, quietly, firmly, without any room for misunderstanding, enough. That is it. Enough. That is exactly where Prince William is right now. And the reason, the name that pushed him to that point, is Princess Catherine. Today I'm going to tell you everything. The full story of what has been happening between the two brothers behind the palace walls, the words that were said, the warning that was issued, and why, of all the things Prince Harry has done and said over the years, it is the mention of Princess Catherine and their children that has finally pushed William to the point of no return. This is a story about two brothers, a broken relationship, and the one line that should never have been crossed. So stay with me, because this story goes very deep. Let us start with the background, because you need to understand where things stood before this warning was issued. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped back from royal duties in early 2020. They moved to the United States, and in the years that followed, they gave interviews, wrote books, made documentaries, and spoke publicly about their experiences inside the royal family in ways that caused enormous pain and embarrassment to the institution and to the individuals within it. Prince William, Princess Catherine, King Charles, all of them found themselves named, discussed, and at times accused in very public forums with very little ability to respond. William stayed largely silent through all of it. That is the kind of man he is. He does not give press conferences about his personal feelings. He does not brief magazines about his emotional state. He shows up, he does his work, he protects his family, and he moves forward. That restraint has been one of his greatest strengths as a future king, but it has also meant that the world has sometimes mistaken his silence for acceptance, for indifference, for forgiveness freely given. It was none of those things. An insider close to William, speaking to In Touch Weekly, one of the most widely read entertainment publications in the United States, has now revealed what has been building privately for months, and the words used are some of the starkest, most direct language we have ever heard attributed to the future King of England. The source said, and I am going to quote this very carefully because every word matters, the source said, "William is ferociously protective of his wife and kids, so even the whiff of Harry dragging them into his woe is me narrative gets his hackles up. Ferociously protective." Those are not words chosen lightly, and the same source went further. They revealed that William has made sure to let their mutual friends know, the friends that William and Harry still share from their younger years, the people who remain connected to both sides, that there will be consequences if Harry keeps this narrative up. Not a public statement, not a lawyer's letter. A quiet, personal, completely deliberate message sent through channels that Harry would absolutely hear and absolutely understand. There will be consequences. Now I want to take a moment here to be completely honest with you, as I always am on this channel. These words come from an anonymous source, speaking to a magazine. They have not been publicly confirmed by Prince William, Prince Harry, or their official representatives. That is important to say. I will never present unverified gossip as confirmed fact on Royalty USA. But I want you to understand why this report is being taken seriously by royal journalists and commentators around the world. Because it fits. It fits with everything we know about Prince William. It fits with the pattern of behavior that palace insiders have been describing for years, and it fits with the specific trigger that sources say pushed William to this point. So what was that trigger? What exactly did Harry do or say that finally crossed the line? According to multiple sources speaking to In Touch and Heat magazine this week, the issue is the children, not William and Catherine's relationship, not the royal institution, not even the ongoing debate about titles and security. The children. Specifically, and this is the part that reportedly set William off completely, Harry has allegedly been expressing unhappiness that his son Archie and daughter Lilibet do not have the same advantages, the same family network, the same access to extended royal family life as their cousins George, Charlotte, and Louis do. The source told In Touch, Hearing that his brother has been complaining about his kids getting more access to family perks really set William off. Now, I want you to sit with that for a moment, because from William's perspective, and I think many of you watching this will understand his position immediately, this is not just frustrating, it is deeply unfair. William's position, according to the insider, is absolutely clear. Any lack of family connection that Archie and Lilibet experience is a direct result of the choices Harry himself made. Harry chose to leave. Harry chose to move to California. Harry chose to step back from royal duties, to give the interviews, to write the book, to make the documentary. Nobody forced those decisions. They were made freely by an adult man with full understanding of what they would mean for his family's place within the institution. And now, the same man who made all of those choices is apparently suggesting that his children are somehow being denied something that is owed to them. The source put it simply and directly. William feels Harry only has himself to blame for the situation, and the insider went even further, revealing the full extent of William's frustration. They said he is in no way over his anger at Harry and Meghan for the anguish and embarrassment they have caused him and the people he loves, and he says they are in for a rude awakening if they think he will stand back and let them drag his wife and their children into their chaos. His wife, his children, that is the line. That is where the patience ends and the warning begins. And here is why that line matters so much right now. Because Princess Catherine has just come through the most difficult chapter of her life. She was diagnosed with cancer in early 2024. She spent months in treatment, fighting for her health, fighting for her future, fighting to be there for George and Charlotte and Louis. She stepped back from public life entirely. She recovered. She came back. And just this week, just days ago, she completed her first overseas solo trip since her diagnosis. She flew to Italy. She walked into a medieval piazza while thousands of people chanted her name. She received an honor that no British royal had ever received before. She was radiant, purposeful, more alive and more focused than anyone had seen her in years, and Prince William watched all of that. He was there for every step of her recovery. He was the one who held the family together during the darkest months. He was the one who rearranged his schedule, his commitments, his everything to be what she needed when she needed it. And now that she is back, now that she is strong and healthy and doing the work she was born to do, the very last thing he is willing to accept is anyone, including his own brother, dragging her name and her family into a narrative of grievance and chaos. The source from Heat magazine captured this perfectly. They said that given Princess Catherine had just started easing back into her royal duties following her cancer battle, William is more sensitive than ever. The last thing he wants is for Catherine to have to deal with the drama involving the Sussexes and the stress that brings amid her royal duties, and he will not stand back and let them drag his wife and their children into their chaos. There is also another dimension to this story that royal commentators are now discussing, and it involves the king. According to the IB Times UK report, insiders believe that Harry is invoking his children, talking about Archie and Lilibet missing out on family connections, specifically because he knows that King Charles adores all of his grandchildren, that the king would be deeply troubled by the idea that two of them are growing up separated from the rest of the family. And William, according to sources, sees this very clearly. He believes Harry is using the children strategically as a way to appeal to Charles's heart, to soften the king's position, and to find a route back towards some form of royal recognition or role. The insider said William is convinced that Harry and Meghan are on a very self-serving mission to protect their titles and status, and are using every trick in the book to appeal to Charles, including the children. Now, what would these consequences actually be? What does William mean when he sends that message through mutual friends? The sources do not spell it out specifically, and that vagueness is itself significant, because a future king does not need to be specific. The power of the warning lies precisely in its ambiguity. William has the patience, the position, and the timeline to act whenever he chooses. When he becomes king, and that day will come, he will have the authority to make decisions about titles, about access, about the formal relationship between the Sussex family and the institution. And every person who knows William personally understands that he does not make empty threats. He is measured, he is deliberate, and when he says there will be consequences, those words mean exactly what they say. Royal author Christopher Anderson, speaking to Page 6 this week, offered important context about the origins of this sibling tension. He said the rivalry and pain between William and Harry goes back to childhood, to the dynamic of heir and spare that was built into their lives from the beginning. He described it as a wound that was made very clear to Harry from his earliest years, that he was lesser than, and said it left a real mark that ultimately doomed their relationship. And that history, that deep childhood wound, makes everything that happens between them now more complicated, more painful, and more difficult to resolve. But William, at this point in his life, is not looking for resolution. He is looking for protection. Protection for Princess Catherine, who has fought too hard and come too far to have her name dragged into anyone's grievance story. Protection for George and Charlotte and Louis, who are growing up in the public eye and deserve to do so without the shadow of their uncle's narrative falling over their lives. And protection for the future of the monarchy itself, the institution that William has dedicated his life to serving and that he will one day lead. The warning has been sent. The line has been drawn. And from every source close to Prince William, the message is the same. He is not bluffing. He is not performing. He means every word. And Princess Catherine, who just conquered Italy, who just showed the world what she is made of, who just stood in a medieval piazza while thousands of people chanted her name, she does not need to carry anyone else's chaos. Not now. Not ever. William knows that. And now Harry does too. I am James Carter. This has been Royalty USA. Tell me in the comments, do you think William is right to draw this line? And do you think Harry will listen this time? I read every single comment. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already, and ring that bell. Take care of yourselves, everyone. I will see you in the next one.